NAIA basketball to America, one interview at a time. Hey, this morning we're going to Miami Gardens, Florida, down to St. Thomas, and we're going to talk to Patrick Crarey, the new head coach there. A lot of good things we're hearing about that program. We're going to ask him about that, ask him about his decision to leave Washington Adventist, where he'd had huge success. Should be an interesting conversation. If you haven't already, wherever you go to NAIA basketball, buy a season ticket, buy an extra season ticket, and take a friend. Introduce them to NAIA basketball. Let's support these programs. Let's show the world just how good NAIA basketball is. Hang on. We'll have Coach Crarey in just one moment. Hey, Cascade Hoops Talk, Billy D back here. Hey, we got Coach Patrick Crarey, St. Thomas University Bobcats there in Miami Gardens, Florida. Welcome, Coach. Thank you for being on the show.
Hey, Billy, excited to be here. Great to talk to you again as usual.
So, Coach, you had a successful 10-year stint at Washington Adventist. You won 167 games there. 3/4 of the time you took the court, you won several 20-win seasons. Can you just touch on your time at Washington Adventist and then, talk about your decision to make this move down to Miami Gardens?
And Washington Adventist it's a part of my life. It's a part of me. They took a chance on me when I was 26 years old to lead an athletic department and lead a basketball program, and I'm forever grateful. I think I became a man in Tacoma Park. I use it as basically as my other alma mater now.
Yeah.
But it was a great time there, great relationship, same president, my whole tenure there. Love all the players that we had there, the relationships that were built, the championships. It was an amazing 10 to 11 years, and really just leaving, it was about growth, and it was about getting outside of your comfort zone. For me, I think I just became comfortable in being there and having the chance to go through a new challenge, something new for me and my family as well. It was just something that I knew it was time. Time was going to come at some point in time. And, through the pandemic, just being at home and having a lot more time with my family, and it felt great to spend more time with them. I just knew the time was coming.
Yeah, if I remember right, you grew up and you played high school there in the D.C. area too, didn't you?
Yeah, my high school is 2 miles from Washington Adventist. So that's the Tacoma Park area. And I grew up from the 4th grade all the way through 12th grade. And then I went to California for 8 years and came back. So I spent the majority of my life there. So I had a great base there. My family all lives, within 10 miles of my old house in, PG County, Maryland. And, I definitely miss them. It's definitely different being here, but it was just, it was time.
So I want to talk to you about St. Thomas. That's your new home. I'm hearing lots of exciting things about what you got going on down there, and I'd like to talk about them. It's a little bit of a mixed bag, the program you've taken over. 20-win seasons, 3 out of the last 5 seasons, so they've definitely had some success. But you look at last year, they struggled turning the ball over, struggled getting rebounds. Coach, I know you. I know those are 2 things you're not going to struggle with. So, talk about your plan to turn St. Thomas around, make winning a habit there in Miami Gardens.
Well, first I got to praise the previous staff. Coach Harris did a great job recruiting these guys. I walked into a situation with 3 Division I drop-down big men that are all very good. A guard, Chris Whitaker, who is as sharp as a guard as I've seen in a long time. And so I inherited a good program, and so it's a lot different than Washington Adventist. When I first got there, they hadn't had a winning season in 18 years. And so coming here where they've had 3 21 seasons in the last 4 years, it's a different level. And so the plan for St. Thomas is to go from good to great. It's been a very good program, but we're trying to go to great. We know that's going to be a daily thing. It's part of our habits, who we are on a daily basis. But I'm going to take things that I've done at Washington Adventist, and that starts with building relationships first. That's my approach. It's never going to change, no matter if I'm at St. Thomas University or at the University of Miami. I'm always going to be the same in terms of my approach and how I'm going to run the program. And so, I'm relationships and then championships. And so making sure I have a great relationship with our guys, with the community here, our faculty and staff. Our president is great, President David Armstrong. Nobody wants to win more than he does, and it's been a great, working under him. And our athletic director, Bill Reichel, it's great to work with under an AD and not have to carry that hat and that load myself. he's been great just in his support and the things that we're talking about, on a daily basis, just his friendship and mentorship. And so, coming to St. Thomas, I told them that I was only coming to St. Thomas to win a national championship. And so, our plan for St. Thomas is to become one of the elite programs in NAIA. When you talk about Georgetown and you talk about Morningside, we want to be mentioned in those names of one of the great programs and consistent programs that year in and year out, you have to see what's happening down there in Miami. Who do they bring in? Who do they have on the schedule? The Indiana Wesleyans. You want to be in that group and not be the teams that are playing them on the first day, but the team in the national tournament, but the teams that are playing them, 2 and 3 games down the line. So that's the plan for us, to build a program that's about relationships, to be proud of our city, Miami Gardens, that we're in, and to be something that our alumni can be proud of, each and every time they watch us play.
So, Coach, you talk about building a program. You start with a fairly good core. I mean, there's a couple bigs that you inherited, specifically DJ Russell, Quinteris Jones. You talk about the bigs that were our returners there at St. Thomas.
Yeah, DJ Russell, I mean, you watch him on tape and you're like, his motor is crazy. And then you get him in the gym and you work out with him and you don't wonder why he is as good as he is. He's just a great kid. He's a great man. You don't have to tell him things twice. You never have to second guess him getting information and or doing the things you ask him to do at a high level. He's first team all-conference coming back for us this year, so I expect him to have a big year. Quinteris Jones, he can play. Went to Eastern Michigan, great hands, great size. He lost a considerable amount of weight this year. Got him down about 25 pounds to where he was last year, so he's moving great. A really underrated passer. I mean, it's been really great to have him. Then we bring back Chris Whitaker, was a Division I drop down at Portland State. Very good player. He's the one who kind of, to me, when I watched their team last year on film, their team changed when he came. He had a different dynamic. He's a playmaker. He can score. He's very smart. His dynamic is huge. And Justin Rogers, he's a basketball player. And with Justin Rogers, the things that don't show up in the stat sheets, setting screens, steals, offensive rebound, just doing all that little stuff, winning. He's a winning guy. And so being able to coach him, I'm looking forward to the entire roster, but those guys especially. And then just Sim Floyd, he's athletic, crazy, 6'9". I believe he led the conference in blocks last year, was top 5 in steals. A great athletic specimen, can play the game, very smart, intelligent player. So having these guys to come to is definitely a luxury. And I'm looking forward to coaching them along with the recruits that we brought in this year.
Well, let's talk about those guys. I mean, you go through this list, you got to be excited. I mean, I'll probably pick the wrong names to start with, but, somebody like Jonas Parker, he went to Odessa and then over to Montevallo. I mean, he's a ball player, isn't he?
Jonas Parker's a man. I mean, he's just a man. I mean, he gets on the court. He's very skilled, and he can shoot the ball. He can put the ball on the floor. But he's also extremely strong and athletic. He was. We have a lot of players on this team. Jonas Parker is one of our best players, and his mindset is there every single day on the floor. He plays with a mean streak, with an anger. Sometimes I can't even look at him because I'm like, man, this kid he's intense. Like he's with it. And I'm an intense coach, but I mean, he's going to be a joy to coach this year. He can defend 1 through 5. He's a really good basketball player.
And Augustus Jones, he played over at West Virginia State. He comes out of Baltimore. He was a starter there at West Virginia State, 16 points a game. He hit 63s last season. You got to be expecting great things from this 6'5" wingman.
Yeah, lefty. Lefties are always. I love lefties. Xavier Sewell that I had in Adventist. They're different. They're awkward to play against. Stone is a scorer. He just knows how to score. I recruited him out of junior college at Adventist, but he went to West Virginia State instead. But we had a great relationship, and we still communicated even when he was at State. Just talking regular. How's the year going? How's basketball going? Never knew that he would ever play for me, but he gave me a call. And then him, Deandre Johnson, and Will Brown, 3 guys that were all going to come to Washington Adventist. That once we made the move to come to St. Thomas, decided to come to St. Thomas. And so just having those guys that have that trust in me is huge. And Gus, we've had a longer relationship than anybody on our roster, so we're very close. But he is a dynamic scorer who has great speed with the ball in his hands. He's really good.
Well, you mentioned Deandre Johnson, 6'10". He's out of D.C. there. He, like you say, he was going to Washington Adventist, but he decided to come down there with you. And Will Brown followed him along, kid out of Jersey City. Have you got to see them play yet at a college level?
Yeah. So I saw Will in junior college. Will was, his team won the region. He was a winner. He was a starter, led the team in scoring, 41% from three-point land. Will has a great story. He walked on to Berry Division II, didn't play a lot. Thought he could be a scholarship player. Went to junior college, worked hard. He's the hardest worker we have on the team. A lot of guys on this team work hard, but Will Brown just works different. And so, we wanted his shooting ability, his ability to defend. He's a great person, great character kid. And Deandre Johnson, Deandre Johnson has a chance. And when I say has a chance, he has a high ceiling from professional chance because he can really shoot the ball at 6'10". He can shoot it off the bounce. He can shoot it off the catch and shoot. He can shoot the mid-range, the turnaround, the three-pointer, the corner three, the shake three, the ball screen three. He can really shoot it. And so, when you do stuff, it's crazy because he'll do something at 6'10" that a guard will do at 6'1" or 6'2", and it just looks different.
Yeah.
When you got a 6'10" guy breaking you down and making a layup in the lane, it's just a different feel. And I think he matches up great for the NAI because we know this level. We have a ton of, big men that have perimeter skills. And that was the one thing that we wanted to do on this recruiting class. The two things for St. Thomas that we needed to improve on, you hit on one of them, especially with our turnovers, and so we had to get up our guard play, but also our shooting ability. We really struggled. We were, ninth in the conference last year, eighth in the conference out of 10 teams, in terms of being able to shoot the three ball. This day and age, you don't make threes, you don't win a lot of games, and so getting guys like Deandre Johnson, Will Brown, James Harris, who shot 50% from three at Harding University, Jonas Parker, all these guys have the ability to shoot the ball. So you have our bigs that we had the previous year. We're going to dominate inside. And now we open that floor up a little bit for them by bringing guys in that we can surround the floor with and shoot. So I'm really excited about this team, the most talent I've ever seen on any of my teams. Talent doesn't always mean you're going to win. We know that, and I know that as a coach. But you for daggone sure can't win without it. So having it, we're excited.
You touched on James Harris. One guy you didn't talk about, Cameron Corcoran. He played at Florida International for a couple of seasons. He's from Orlando.
Yeah, it was great for us to get some Florida kids because we really believe in taking care of Florida first, and that's one of our initiatives is coming in terms of recruiting. And so being able to get James Harris from the west part of Florida, Naples, and then being able to get Cameron that was at Florida International. Cameron played a little more off the ball there. He'll be on the ball for us and is able to show his true talents. I think me and him have a great relationship, working together. Also getting Austin Allison, who's from that Orlando area. So, having these guys and taking care of the state is one of the things that we want to do, moving forward. Florida is a big-time basketball state. Everybody thinks about Florida, and they think football. But it's great athletes here. I don't know what is in the water out here, but the athleticism is crazy. And there's also good basketball here. So we're trying to make sure that we are able to, develop those relationships with junior college coaches, high school coaches, travel AAU coaches to make sure we're taking care of Florida and we're keeping kids home. It's a great place to live. I mean, today they told me that it was a little balmy outside, and it was I think 78 this morning. And it was a nice little breeze, so it's a great place to live. It's a great place to work. It's a great place to go to school. And so that's one of our goals here is to try to showcase St. Thomas because it really is one of the hidden gems in all of small college basketball.
Coach, you touched on something I want to ask you about. You've got a core group that are coming back. You're a new coach, but then you're really bringing in some seasoned transfers from all kinds of different programs that you're really going to count on this year. You have the athletes. Do you have a team? What is it going to take to get these guys to really gel? Because you're going to be tested in the early season, and that's tough to bring guys from different programs and get them to play.
Let's being honest with them. It's all about relationships and being honest. one of the things I talked to our guys about before is some of the guys that we have brought in, their programs weren't exactly winning programs. And so if you're coming from a non-winning program, you're probably going to be bringing a little bit of those losing habits with you, whether you know it or not. So being able to have a relationship that's built upon trust and honesty first, being able to communicate that, to our players, and then with our returners that we have coming in, every year every team goes through the same thing. You got your returners, and you got the recruits come in. You're trying to make sure you don't have a click on either side. And we were doing a great job early because I got Zach Moss. This is probably the best thing I've done since I've gotten here. We had to hire an assistant coach. It was the first time I ever got a full-time assistant coach. And, I put the job out there, and I was wide open with it. Sometimes these things aren't wide open. I didn't know what way I was going to go. But I knew Zach when he was at Ave Maria. He's already won a championship in the conference. We competed against him at Washington at Venice. And so, during our interview process, just learning more about who he was as a person, him being able to break down the entire Sun Conference for me, it's given us so much help as a program in terms of what he does. And then I've never met, I worked with a lot of people and against people. I've never met somebody who's worked like Zach Moss in terms of an everyday basis. Like, it's a challenge for me every day where I know if I have to raise my level to make sure that I'm on Zach Moss's level in terms of work ethic. And so, and I think I work harder than anybody. So it's great having him along. We fit together. Our personalities fit together. We work hard, and then we go to the golf course and play hard and fight against each other. So, having him on staff has been something that really helped us as we merged the gap between our returning players and then the new players that we brought in, and we're letting them know it's all of us together. Like, it's not about new versus old, last year versus this year. It's about the people that are in this room, developing relationship with each other, being honest with each other, working as hard as we can for each other to achieve something that nobody in this room has achieved before.
It'd be interesting to kind of see how quickly you can pull them all together. But as you mentioned, bringing in Zach Moss as well to kind of pull those various groups together, that should help quite a bit as well.
Having him, and then we hired our graduate assistant is Tyrus Fleetwood, who played for me at Venice, who went to the first two national tournament teams we have. I would say Tyrus and I are as close as me and a player have ever been. So having him with me, it brings some type of security that I have, and then trust, a bridge gap with the players. Tyrus is in his 20s, his mid-20s, able to talk to them about playing for me, what it's like playing for me, what the expectation level will be. Then I also have Fred Limas here, who was my first assistant coach at Washington at Venice, my first 3 years there. He had come down to Barry and was an assistant at Barry here in Miami, Division II school, and now he's back with me. So I love the staff, and we're together all the time. We're breaking down this film. We're talking about different things that can happen, and it's a great place to be right now for me, from a workplace and from outside of work with my family, and just dealing with the whole the city of Miami Gardens and the city of Miami. South Florida is a beautiful place.
It's all going to be real here at the end of October. I was looking at your schedule. You and I were talking about it a bit before, but around Thanksgiving things get really interesting. You're going to host Arizona Christian. You host Barry, a top 25 D2 school. In the middle of December, you play Barry again at Barry, and then you pack up, go to Fort Lauderdale. And then you've got a really easy task. You're going to play Morningside and Dakota Wesleyan back-to-back on the road. Who scheduled that?
Yeah, so I did. So when we got here, we had to get games. And so, our schedule starts out tough. Florida National, new NAIA school, and they're going to be tough. And then we start with Florida Memorial, who's our rival, Warner University, who's been a perennial champion in the Sun Conference, and then last year's Sun Conference champions in Kaiser as our first 3 league games. So it gets real very quickly for us. And then in the non-conference, dealing with those last 2 games with Morningside and Dakota Wesleyan in that Cruising Classic here in Fort Lauderdale, it'll be fun. Our guys will be able to see a different brand of basketball they probably have never seen before. The great coaches over there, great programs, great players, and both teams will be absolutely loaded with bringing back the majority of their rosters from the previous year. Getting Arizona Christian here during Thanksgiving, they've been a perennial program in the GSAC since I was in college years ago. They've just been a very good program, and so getting them here is going to be fun. to play against them. And then, to be the best, you have to play the best. You got to get a measuring stick to see where you are, to see how things are. And to have all these teams down here in South Florida should help us. But we know it's going to be a tough task to play, but we're looking forward to all of our matchups. The Sun Conference is a conference that I think doesn't get enough credit nationally-wise, and we look forward to competing in the Sun. There's some great programs here, great coaches, and we look forward to having a very competitive year in league and trying to put our best foot forward for the Sun Conference.
So, Coach, you've mentioned the Sun Conference a couple of times. New conference to you. I'm sure you've had to look at a lot of film, do a lot of studying. What do you expect out of that conference? It's a tough conference.
It's going to be tough. It's definitely going to be tough. It's fun for me because at Adventist we were now the Centennial Athletic Association. Before we were in the Independence, and we didn't have a consistent conference schedule. And now coming here, it raises you. It raises your level as a coach, raises your game in terms of what you're scheduled to be and the styles that you have to beat in order to be successful. And so I've known a lot of teams in the conference. I've known the coaches. We competed against them when I was at Adventist. And I know, how tough it's going to be, but we look forward to, Ave Maria is going to be tough. I would talk before about Warner, Coastal Georgia. I think will be very good this year. They have one of their best rosters they've had. We know how Kaiser will be. We know how, Thomas, they play very physical. They're tough, Southeastern, well coached. So it's going to be a tough year in terms of, the physicality and the level of play that has to be met on a day-to-day basis. But I'm up for it. Our players up for it. Everybody's excited to get through a full season. Your first year, you want to do the best you can. I feel like this is when I started coaching at 26 in 2010, so I'm excited to get out there.
So, Coach, I got one other question. What's it like to recruit into Miami? You get a lot of pushback from kids for the weather?
I'll just say it's a lot different. I would say the biggest difference with recruiting just the St. Thomas in general and the South Florida area, it speaks for itself. So it's no longer a huge negotiation, for lack of better words, when it comes to recruiting. It really is, hey, this is our school. It's a great, beautiful campus. This is the city we're in, one of the best cities in the entire world. And this is who I am. I think that I'm a personable coach and somebody's going to work hard for you and that wants the best for you, while you're playing for me and when you leave, and just trying to make you the best man you can be while I'm making myself the best man I can be. And so the program to me sells itself in terms of the total package, and it's very, black and white. Either you like it or you don't. And, I think, for us, I look forward to having a full year to be able to get into high schools in the area, getting into junior colleges, and really being able to recruit for a full year. I think, our team for 22-23 should be, outstanding with the guys that we have coming back, plus a full year of recruiting and really understanding the Sun Conference. But we're excited about this year. We're excited about practice. We're practicing now. They're intense, they're fun. They're very, very, very competitive on a daily basis. And it gets me going, it gets our coaches going, and most importantly, it gets our players going and ready to stay focused on the task at hand each day.
Well, Coach, I wish you a lot of luck as you kick off play here at the end of October. Thank you very, very much for taking the time and talking to us. There's a lot of buzz about what you got going on there at St. Thomas. I don't think you're going to sneak up on anybody.
Yeah, we know that. I mean, and I know that, and I knew when I made the move that it was gonna cause a little stir. But that's good. I mean, you'd rather have people talking about you than nobody saying anything. So we're going to accept the challenge and put our best foot forward to make sure our university is proud. But thank you, Billy D. Always great talking to you. From all the NAIA coaches, we really appreciate the coverage you give to us. I look forward to seeing you later on in this year, and we really appreciate all you do for us.
Well, thank you, Coach Crarey. I appreciate that very much, and thank you again for being on the show.